Alright, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a great day, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about the concept of deck building, and maybe I can give you all some tips when it comes to building decks, if that's something you're looking to do, and for all those beginners out there. I will not claim to be an expert, I'm just giving you the information that I know and have that works. So, I'm using the Golgari Guild deck here as an example, which is not a perfect example, but it is something to work with because it is pre-constructed. So, I'm going to give you a few examples here of decks that are very popular, some of my favorites, and we'll go on from there to stuff like consistency and mana base, all that good stuff. So, this deck here is one example, a very creature-heavy deck. Because as you can see, this stack here is all freaking creatures. So this deck here is very creature-heavy. Runs a small amount of artifacts, example 2. Runs also a small amount of spells, and like disruptions, and one single enchantment, and then of course all green, black mana, all that good stuff. So that's our first example. Very creature heavy decks. If you like to put out a lot of power on the board, not always very quickly, because it depends. If you're running a lot of big creatures, then no, you're not going to be doing it very quickly. But like my mono black zombie deck, which I've done a video of in the past, I could post a link down to that video if you would like that. That is a creature-heavy deck to the absolute max. It is just full of freaking zombies. It's absolutely nuts. That's an example of a very creature-heavy deck. Next, you can have a very spell-heavy deck that may have very minimal creatures in it. A very good example is that my mono red burn deck. I can also post a link to that video down in the description of me talking about that deck. But that's very spell-heavy. You're just hitting things over and over again. You're hitting your opponent over and over again. And that's just burn to the max. Mostly spells than anything. Another good example of one, and this is my personal favorite, as most would know, is Mill. It's generally full of a lot of spells more than anything, and enchantments, because it's just meant to completely put somebody's library into their graveyard so they can lose. My favorite win condition, because I kind of got bored of just hitting people over and over again with creatures. Now, those are just a few examples, but we're going to jump into the idea of the building itself. Now, this deck here is, of course, 2 colors. So it is running here, and I actually recommend this kind of style here. And dual lands are always nice to have as well, because, of course, they run for both colors. They're running 8 swamps in this deck, which I'm okay with, which is what I would do. And also 8 forests, and then 8 dual lands, which again, from what I've done when it comes to playing this deck, seems to work pretty well, so I would recommend definitely the same with dual colors. But personally, I am a guy who likes to run monocolors. So that's mostly what I'm going to be talking about here is monocolored decks. Because perfectly honest, I think they're the best start for a new person is running single color decks. So I'm going to use my mono black mill deck here as an example of a mono color, even though I am running I'm running artifacts as well. The mana base is still all generally the same. So I'm going to talk about the mana base here. I am running a total of 18 swamps in this deck, which is actually fairly standard and recommended for a monocolored deck, is 18 of that respective color. So in this case, 18 swamps, which is exactly what I would recommend for a monocolor. You can kind of shift it around if you feel you need to do so, but that's kind of the standard recommendation. Now, with other colors, it kind of starts to definitely veer away from wanting 1 color to 2 color to 3 colors to 4, whatever your case may be, which I would never recommend 5, to be perfectly honest, especially for a beginner and frankly even for an advanced player. But next we're going to move on to deck consistency. So, consistency with most people, as they will say and agree to, is numero uno when it comes to building a deck. So, what is consistency, you ask? Well, consistency is how many basically you're running of certain cards. I will go back to my mono mill deck here. Consistency is running 4 which is the maximum, but you want to run 4 of each of your best cards to give your deck the best consistency, because then you can basically have the best odds of pulling the cards you need. So, especially this deck is built around consistency. It absolutely needs it to win, to get its win condition. So, I of course am running 4 Victim of Nights, 4 Myr Retriever, 4 Diabolic Revelation. I will point out the cards that I absolutely need 4 of in this case. You can see there's my next Myr Retriever. Dark Ritual, absolutely need 4 of. And see, I'm running 4 of every card in this deck, I believe, except for 1, because it wasn't necessary exactly for me to have 4 of. But here is the 4 cards in the combo, and I absolutely need 4 of these because I need to give myself the best odds to get these cards. Best consistency, you know? And these 4 cards are my combo for my deck. So that is a very good example of necessary consistency. And all around, those are really, truly what you're going to need. You need a good mana base, consistency, and just overall good cards to use. And that kind of comes down to yourself. And the last top point that I'm going to talk about when it comes to building a deck is synergy. And I can literally go back to this deck as another good example, in which I will, that synergy. You need your cards to synergize or things will get kind of flip-floppy and not work very well. So where this works is you have Heartless Summoning here, 1 black, 1 of any color. And the reason synergy works here is because to play this combo as a good example, you have 1 black mana, okay? You cast your Dark Ritual. That gives you 3 mana to work with, okay? You bring out a Heartless Summoning for 2 of that mana, leaving you 1. It says creature spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. They get -1/-1, okay? So you cast Dark Ritual, cast your Heartless Summoning, cast Altar of the Brood with it. And see, this is where Myr Retriever comes in, because creature spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. He costs 2. You get to bring him out for free. That's the synergy. And then Myr Retriever has synergy with Altar of the Brood, because whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard. These synergize because when he comes out, he is that permanent. You mill a card off the top of their library. And of course, with this combo, it has, again, this has the synergy now with this card, because again, you get to bring it out for free because of this card's ability, but that -1/-1 kills him. But where his synergy with it comes in is when Myr Retriever is put into a graveyard from play, return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. So basically, this allows you to keep casting it for free. This ability keeps bringing it back from the graveyard to your hand, back and forth. You keep casting it, it's gone, casting it, it's gone, and that keeps triggering Altar of the Brood. So the best example truly here is these 3 cards themselves. These synergize perfectly to create that infinite combo. So synergy is absolutely important, very important. And that's just one example of synergy. There are thousands of cards out there that can create synergy with other cards. So these guys are the things you really need to look into. So consistency, synergy, mana base, making sure all those things are proper. And of course, again, synergy is like the cards working well together. So those are the things you definitely need to look at when it comes to building a standard deck. But of course, figuring out first what you want to do, if you want to run creature heavy decks, spell heavy decks, enchantment heavy decks, or just a good balance between all of them, or artifacts, whatever the case may be. But I suggest you figure that out first before you really get into building and what cards you want and need. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this video. And if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And of course, a thumbs down if you didn't. And I, again, will make sure to post down links of the mono mill deck, the mono red deck, and the mono black zombie deck, so you can check them out if for references, because those are good examples of deck building as well. So I will see you all in the next video. Have a great day.